Apple has refreshed their MacBook Pro line, bringing iterative changes but also a few innovations. I got the MacBook Pro 13-inch with the Touchbar for my wife and I to try out and see if it can convince us to leave Windows, something the previous generation failed to do. It's worth noting that unlike the last time I got a Mac, where I tried the 15-inch version, this time I got the 13-inch model, and that's due to two factors. Number one, the cost. The 15-inch starts at $2,400, not in my budget for a device without a digitized screen, something I use constantly every single day. And number two, the form factor. The 15-inch is just too big for my taste and my wife's. We are happy to give up pure performance for more portability. With that out of the way, let's talk hardware. The industrial design is exactly as you'd expect from Apple. It's got a full aluminum body with the tightest tolerances I've ever seen in a device this size. Everything lines up perfectly as intended. The feel of this device almost justifies its price tag. The controversy over the ports has been beaten to the ground by every tech news outlet on the internet, so I'll only say that if you expect to pay only the sticker price when you pick up this laptop, you'll be disappointed, because the adapters are required for everything until everything becomes USB Type-C, which will cost you anyway when you rebuy all of your peripherals to meet that new USB Type-C standard. The cost of progress. The screen is absolutely beautiful. I don't have any special equipment to quantify how good it looks, but I can say that everything seems to just float in front of you, rather than feeling 2D and constrained by a monitor. The brightness can be uncomfortably bright unless you're outside, so I usually keep it turned down, which is better for the battery life anyway. The colors are nice. I don't see any huge difference, but then again, I'm used to the Surface Pro 4, and so all I can say is, it's equal or better than the Surface Pro 4, which is, in my opinion, very high praise. The keyboard is definitely strange. I seem to cycle between loving it and hating it. The entire time I've been using this device, 1 minute I'll enjoy the oddly tactile and noisy click of the second generation butterfly switches, and then the next minute I'll realize I've been missing a bunch of keystrokes and getting frustrated with that lack of travel. This is definitely a keyboard you must try before throwing money down and committing to the MacBook Pro. Otherwise, the size and spacing of the keys works for me, and it being backlit checks that box for a laptop of this price. Thermally speaking, this device stays roughly about as warm as your hands are while in normal casual use. Things like browsing the web, checking emails and calendar, typing on iMessage, or even things like writing this script. But if you do anything else that's taxing to the system at all, things like downloading large files from the internet, playing a game that might run on macOS, and video editing, of course, rendering pretty much anything, the device gets uncomfortably hot. Just like last year's, this device will get extremely hot. Apple definitely loves to use their chassis as a heatsink, and that unfortunately means that all the heat that the device generates will be poured directly into your legs, through the bottom of the device, or with such a low-profile key switches directly into your fingertips, which means that there's basically no configuration as far as typing is concerned, where you can use this device and not feel that heat while it's doing something serious. That's very unfortunate. Now, I will say the device was extremely quiet. The MacBook Pro 13-inch with the Touch Bar was very, very, very quiet. Even when it was extremely hot, I was really surprised that it really I didn't hear the fan. The fan barely kicked on. And so I'm wondering, either it didn't get hot enough, which it's rendering a video, so I expect it would have. Now, it was actually very uncomfortable to even put my hand on it. Either my device was defective and the fan should have been going, or Apple put such a high, tolerance that I just never pushed it hard enough to get the fan going. Something I really, really doubt. So I'm very impressed with how quiet the device is, or I'm glad I returned it because my cooling fan was broken. But I did not experience any significant thermal throttling, and so it was doing an effective job at wicking that heat away. Now for the elephant in the room, the touch bar. It's, well, interesting. I have another video where I discuss the touch bar, but for this video, I'll say that it feels very soft to the touch. I think they got the material spot on. It's so nice to just touch. It feels so good on your fingers, which I know I'm making a big deal of it, but it really is one of those little things that Apple pays attention to that makes the device feel so premium. But it's also sufficiently bright to see even outdoors, and they did a great job at making it so it pretty much had no reflection. The touch bar is contextually aware, and at first it's extremely frustrating to get used to. But knowing that there is a method to the madness, and knowing that it's brand new, third-party developers hadn't had time to make use of it yet, Apple hasn't even fully matured it yet, it will be useful in the future. Now, some people very much like it, and I have to say, having used it, it's definitely not a gimmick, but it's really not in a place right now where I can say it trumps a touchscreen, or it's really even that effective beyond kind of a little party trick, really. It currently doesn't work with Chrome, which is a big one for me, Microsoft's, really any of Microsoft's applications, Adobe's video creation suite, pretty much all the things that I use when I'm not at my day job, the touch bar doesn't work. So I guess this leads me to my conclusion. If you're a Mac user, or all of your applications that you use currently work on the Mac, or have a suitable alternative that is on Mac, then by all means, this is a wonderful platform. And the refresh, obnoxious adapter requirement aside, feels very premium. It's definitely, well, would be a purchase in my book. I would definitely say go buy it. This is not a buy in my book. The conclusion of this video is do not buy the MacBook 2016. Even if you are a die-hard Mac user with all of the issues they've been having, I mean, there have been tons of boot camp related issues that have actually damaged people's devices. Look at Casey Neistat's Twitter feed. He has had, as an example, and that's anecdotal evidence, but I use his example to represent a larger group of people who are having issues. He has had issues with the touch bar displaying on the screen instead of on the touch bar. There's been issues where the display itself, the colors, you get these red boxes and stuff and skewed. You just this color, light show. Basically, the MacBook Pro 2016 as it came out, in 2016 as it came out, it's in beta for sure. And that's not something Apple is really used to doing. I expect Apple to be rock solid. If I'm going to buy a Mac, it's because I want stability. And it just doesn't have that now. Now you're rolling the dice. If you buy a MacBook, it may or may not work. And that is scary. So I would hold on to your money. I would wait. If it's a beautiful device. It's definitely worth buying when they fix those issues. And it may just be a software update, or it may be hardware. But do you really want to test it? I mean, by the time it comes out, by the time all the fixes come out, they may have already refreshed it with the newest Kaby Lake processors. So then it was worth waiting for anyway. So that's my thoughts. What do you think? Is it worth the gamble for you now? Comment below. Let me know what you think as far as all this stuff. Try not to make it too much of a flame war. I know I brought up some flame war stuff. I'm going to come out with a flame war video that's PC versus Mac, most likely. So if you got flame war, if you got that hate built up in you, you got to defend your camp. Wait for that video to really comment on. It's coming. But for now, are you going to get a MacBook Pro? Just comment. Get down there, comment, tell me what you think. Like this video while you're down there, and subscribe for a bunch more exciting content coming your way.